It's been 3 months since we did a best to worst for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but we're going to be revisiting the series in Season 3 and going over every weapon class to include weapons that have been added to the game and consider all the buffs and nerfs that have taken place post-launch. Some class rankings haven't changed at all, and some lists are completely revised, so let's get started. Yo, what's going on everyone? My name is Sinister Skater. Welcome to the channel. Actually, two quick things I forgot to mention before we get started. These lists are through the lens of multiplayer, although a lot of my opinions will carry over to Warzone for the most part. And two, I'm going to be ranking these in a tier system rather than individual ranks like the original series for time's sake. Otherwise this video would take forever. And to be frank, some weapons are just as viable as others and on the same level as others that I kind of hinted to in the original series. Speaking of which, I will be referring to the original episodes where I went over literally every single weapon's pros and cons. So if you're itching for some more info by the end of this video and haven't seen those yet, I suggest you go check those out. So let's get started with the assault rifles, which I think is the most popular class of weapons out of everything. The revised best to worst list for the assault rifles is still going to have the M4A1 at the best status for all these same reasons, but it's going to be sharing the spotlight with the Ram 7. The Ram 7 actually has a faster time to kill than the M4, but it's not reliable at those super long ranges like in ground war or if you're playing Warzone. You'll probably end up preferring the M4 over that, but when it comes to close quarters and medium range combat, the Ram 7 is super reliable. It can help you beat out some M4s on some one-on-one situations. The second best assault rifle grouping here has a couple of oddballs in here. I actually have the FAL up here, the Odin, and the AK-47. You have insane time to kill on all of these weapons, but they're a little bit harder to handle. One thing I have to say is I misranked the FAL originally. I went into the assault rifle episode right after the Marksman rifles and the sniper rifles. I was comparing the FAL to those weapons rather than the other assault rifles in its class. Compared to other ARs, the FAL can outperform most of them. But if we broaden the list a little bit to consider other weapons, I still think I'm going to prefer the SKS and the Dragunov, EBR, so on. Odin's still a beast, and the AK-47 jumps a little bit because it had that SMG ammo conversion buff, where in the SMG ranges it is insane and one of the fastest killing weapons in the game, but beyond like a 25 meter, that ammo conversion is going to be lackluster, and you should be using the regular AK-47, which I still have my original opinions on that. The third best weapon on this list is going to be going to the Kilo, the Grau, and the FR556. The Kilo I praised at launch, but overall it's just dropped in rank with the additions of some of the new assault rifles. The Grau, with both its longest barrel and its shortest barrel, just put in work. It's one of the favorite weapons among a lot of people in Warzone. In multiplayer, you're still going to get beat out by all the other weapons above, but it's just a solid weapon overall. In the FR, I had the same thoughts as the original video. If you're hitting all your shots, it's going to be an insane weapon. In the fourth slot, I'm going to be throwing the M13 here. The M13 seems, I gotta say this, seems much more usable with some of the buffs that you received since launch. It feels more consistent. I'm hitting my shots more and getting less hit markers, which was a big issue with it originally. It's just really easy to use, but still not as competitive as some of the other assault rifles. And lastly, here at the fifth slot, the worst assault rifle out of them all is going to the FN Scar 17. It's just hard to use. It's inconvenient. You have to kit it to make it somewhat decent. It's just not worth using and is the worst assault rifle out of them all. Moving on to the SMGs, some changes since that episode. The Striker 45 has been added, which we never talked about that on this channel. We'll talk about that a little bit here. There's some new Uzi attachments and a few minor buffs and nerfs across the board. So this list, it's literally the same exact list with the Striker added. We're going to MP5, MP7, AUG. I'm going to be throwing the Striker below that. And then you have the PP19, the P90. Those are on like the same level. They could be interchanged. And then I'm throwing the Uzi at worst still. The new .41 rounds only help its time to kill at medium range. It's not a big enough difference to bump it up in my opinion. You can still do well with it like I initially stated, but still, it's still the Uzi. Now the Striker is right below the AUG, and the Striker is really only good with one setup, and that is with the hollow point burst rounds and the longest barrel. Outside of that, I want to say it's the worst SMG and it'd probably be below the Uzi. Its stats are lackluster, its handling's not smooth, it doesn't really do anything special, it's just a meh weapon. Except when you have that hollow point and the longest barrel on, because it gets the fastest time to kill between the SMGs and even some ARs, because in the close to medium ranges, you can one burst someone from the chest up. You only get to pull the trigger 6 times before you have to reload. It's very challenging to use, which is why it's not ranked any higher. Moving on to the Marksman rifles. Since that video, the EBR received a buff and the SKS and crossbow have been added. The list is almost the same exact list as the original. I'm going to throw the SKS at the best, then the EBR at a close second with the Kar98K to follow, then the crossbow, and then the Mark II carbine. I did a whole video comparing the SKS and the EBR. Literally everything you'd want to know about it is in that video, link in the cards if you want to go check it out. Overall, in most situations, your SKS is going to be better. I'm not sure where to put the crossbow. I like it. It has many use cases. Is it better than the Kar or not? It's really hard to say, but the Mark II carbine, man, for some reason a lot of people like this, and I've tried to use it still. I don't understand why people like it. I hate it. They say you have to be good and hit headshots with it. Just hit headshots with your SKS or the EBR and you still get a faster rate of fire and time to kill. I don't know. Moving on. I don't want to get started on that. Sniper rifles, exact same list as the original video. Nothing really has changed here. Dragunov, HDR, and the AX50. For the light machine guns, the Holger and the Bruin have been added to the game, and the SA-87 got a huge buff. So best LMGs out here, it's a 3-way tie, literally. You got the PKM, the SA-87 has been moved up all the way to the best, and then the Bruin. I did a armory analysis about the Bruin, talking about everything you need to know about it. Link in the cards again if you want to check that out. It's worthwhile, I'm telling you. The SA-87 got buffed to be exactly what I wanted it to be when I was talking about it in the original episode. It's a quick handling LMG with decent range. It's a 2-shot to the head up to like 50 meters. It's still a tad slow to kill outside of headshots, but it doesn't have that crazy recoil anymore. And it's like really good now. I was really surprised when I picked this thing up for the first time since I golded it. When you get to long ranges with the SA-87, I still think it has too much recoil to be effective at long range, which is where I think the PKM comes in. And it's still a high damage rifle, kind of hand in hand with the Bruin, but the Bruin can be kitted with attachments to be a little bit better. The PKM can be kitted to have similar handling stats to the SA-87, all the same reasons as the original episode. It's a very solid weapon. At second best, we have the M91, and at third best, the MG34. These two weapons haven't changed much at all. Same thoughts as the original episode. And then at worst is the Holger 26. I also did a video on this you can check out. It's more of an assault rifle with a lot of ammo rather than an LMG. It lacks in terms of time to kill compared to other LMGs, but it's still really fun to use in my opinion, and it's very reliable to use as a G36. I have a class with it, and I'm never going to change that class. I actually prefer the Holger over the MG34, but in general, overall, it's the worst LMG. Moving on to shotguns, really the only change is that the VLK is now added to the game, and this is the same list. We have the R90, then the Model, then the Origin, and then the 725 for the same exact reasons as before, but I'm going to throw the VLK at second best with the Model. The VLK is like a hybrid of the Model and the Origin 12 with slug rounds. The VLK is super deadly when you get practice with it. I might even say it could be the best shotgun. Again, I did a whole video going in depth on this weapon with thoughts and everything. Link in the cards. I feel like a broken record. When you have no slugs on, it's kind of hot garbage. But they did just add Dragon's Breath rounds to the gun, which has bumped it up to be actually a pretty viable weapon. So it really depends on how you end up kitting the VLK, but I do think it deserves to share the second best spot with the Model. Last but not least, we're moving on to secondaries. The launchers and all the melee weapons, I'm not even going to spend time on those. Same exact list as before, which you'll see on the screen right now. But the handguns, we've had the Renetti added since that secondary video. And my new list is going to be actually a little bit different here. It's going to be the .50 GS still at number 1. At the second best, so we're going to have the Renetti and the 357 Snake Shot. At third best, I'm just going to throw the 357, the X16, and the M19 there. And then the 1911 is going to be your worst pistol. I still think the .50 is better than the Renetti because you can one-shot headshot, and it has a reasonable 2-shot time to kill. It's a more versatile weapon in long range and close range than the Renetti when you use it in semi-auto or in burst. Even akimbo, when you use akimbo, you're restricted to the close quarters combat. The Renetti will be a close second best pistol. It outperforms all the other pistols in semi-auto and burst mode. Again, broken record here. Did a whole video going in depth on it if you want some more insight on it. And for this list, I just decided to break up the snake shot and the regular 357 because it's such a different weapon. The snake shots did recently get nerfed, but for what they do in close quarters combat, they're still very effective at. They just lost some of that long range damage. The rest of the pistols, same exact reasons as the original video. I still think I prefer the X16 over the M19. I think I ranked the 1911 over the M19 originally because of its range performance, but since the Renetti has been added, there's really no reason to use the 1911. I wouldn't touch it after you get gold with it. So yeah, that covers every single weapon class for Season 3 Best to Worst Revised. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments to any of the weapon classes. And also, do you think this would be a good thing to do every season about mid-season after they add all the new weapons to the game? Future episodes won't be as long as this one because for this one we had to cover 2 seasons of content and balance changes, but I do think it'd be a good way just to kind of keep the Best to Worst series fresh and keep people up to date on stuff. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed the video or learned something new, please hit the like button and consider subscribing and turning on that bell notification. Check the links down below in the description if you'd like to help support my channel. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. My name is 𝐡𝐨𝐩𝐞, and I'll catch you all on the next video. Peace out.